Yo, what's going on, everybody? Hope everybody is doing well. Today we're going to be talking about Oberon and his rework because, number one, it's absolutely amazing. He needed a rework for the longest time. I know a lot of Oberon mains specifically back then were saying how their character just needed a rework. And here we are. He's gotten a rework that has made him even better. Let's go ahead and start by talking about the changes they made to his passive. The changes they made to the passive were actually pretty damn good. I don't even remember what his passive was before. I'm not going to lie to you. All I know is it had something to do with survivability of companions, and after the companion rework, it was not good. So now they gave him a brand new passive that actually allows him to generate something called a righteous negation charge, which is literally just the shields you see floating around him. You get these righteous negation charges whenever you pick up a health orb or a universal orb. You can have up to 3 charges, and these charges actually block incoming damage, while also making you invulnerable for 0.25 seconds after one of the charges is gone. However, once your last righteous negation charge goes away, instead of a quarter of a second of invulnerability, you'll get a half a second of invulnerability, which definitely isn't a lot, but at the end of the day, you're gonna get a charge back instantly by picking up a health orb anyway, so at the end of the day, it's not the worst. This passive definitely helps with his survivability, and something that's really cool about the passive is that it also goes to your allies and your companions. Next up, we got the first ability, Smite. For the rework, I didn't actually use this ability a lot. I literally had a build with Gloom that replaced the first ability. I'm gonna have to go back and watch that video, to be honest, because I'm pretty sure I just had it on because the renewal heal wasn't as efficient as it is now. Regardless, Smite has always been a good ability, and even though I don't really know how to compare it to how it used to be, I know for a fact right now it is really good, especially thanks to the changes they made. Now whenever you hit an enemy with Smite, you're going to remove 100% of their overguard and armor. You also remove their health and shields, but only by a certain percent. But on top of that, hitting an enemy with this ability will give them 10 radiation stacks, and it will stun them. Also, if there are any other enemies around the original target you hit with Smite, it can take 50% of the damage dealt by Smite, and they're actually going to be staggered. Smite used to have secondary seeking projectiles, but with this change they have removed them, and I guess the main reason they're doing that is because, as they said, they want to focus and elevate its strength as a single target ability while smoothing out some of its quirks. Any Oberon mains or anybody who played Oberon a lot, feel free to let me know how you guys feel about these Smite changes and just the Oberon changes in general. Next up, we got his second ability, Hollowed Ground, and man, let me talk to you about this one because I remember this ability in particular. Hollowed Ground used to have this weird ass radius. I want to say it was like a cone radius. Now the radius is a full circle, and ability range will increase the radius of the circle. However, you do only get 3 hollowed ground now instead of 4, but to be honest with you, because we have a full circle radius, I think this doesn't even matter at all. Nullifier bubbles no longer will destroy hollowed ground. Instead, the bubbles will just simply nullify its effects. Hollowed ground now gives guaranteed radiation status effects. Previously, before the rework, it was only a 15% chance. Now it just guaranteed gives radiation status. Quite a few changes to this ability, and yeah, they are definitely pretty nice. Next up, we got the third ability, Renewal. In my personal opinion, I know Hollowed Ground and the passive are really great changes, but I think the changes they did to Renewal are arguably even better. And there's one reason in particular. They changed the range of Renewal to now be Oberon's affinity range. For the rework, when you use this ability, wherever you actually used it, like that zone you used it in, you had to stay there to get the heal from the ability. It was pretty shit, I'm not gonna lie. Now instead of being in that static zone, it moves around with Oberon, so you literally can just run around and properly heal yourself. It may be a simple change, but in my opinion, he really needed that. I don't know why they didn't give this ability that in the first place, but you know, here we are. This ability also got some other pretty nice changes, like the fact that they removed the increased energy cost per target, and now it just costs a flat energy rate per second, regardless of how many allies you're healing, which is going to help the ability last even longer and just make it more efficient overall. Whenever you activated this ability on Hollowed Ground, you got the Iron Renewal buff. Now, all you have to do is activate Renewal, and you automatically get Iron Renewal, which increases your armor by 50% for Oberon, and for any allies on the team, it's going to increase their armor by 100%. Renewal no longer stacks with other renewal abilities. Now it's just going to be based on whichever Oberon's renewal is the strongest. And they also added a visual change to this ability. Now whenever you use renewal, you can literally see a crown pop up over Oberon's head, which looks pretty cool in my opinion. And they also reduced the cooldown on the Phoenix renewal augment from 90 seconds to 60 seconds. Absolute W changes to this ability, and it's just going to be so much more useful for actually healing Oberon and your allies when you're in a mission. And finally, we got the fourth ability, Reckoning. According to Warframe, Reckoning was visually impressive, but it lacked the actual power of an ultimate ability. The With his rework, they are increasing the overall damage output and changing some of the ability synergies to now be base kit. Now this ability only targets enemies in Oberon's line of sight whenever you use it on enemies affected by radiation. For the rework, you got 625 bonus damage per stack of radiation. Now you get 750 per stack of radiation, which means you can double the damage of Reckoning if you use that ability on an enemy that already has max radiation stacks applied to them, aka 10 stacks. Whenever you're playing Oberon, it's actually super easy to apply max radiation stacks to any enemy you're facing, because all you have to do is put Hollowed Ground down. It's like I said earlier, Hollowed Ground now gives guaranteed radiation status effects instead of that 15% chance. It's going to be hitting a lot harder on enemies that are on Hollowed Ground. Top of that, Oberon receives 10 armor per enemy hit. Bonus armor is capped at 1,000 and persist for 30 seconds. Any enemies that survive the Reckoning ability will have 50% of their armor permanently removed, and you can get that to 100% if you get your ability strength all the way up to 167%. Before the rework, it had to be on Hollowed Ground to get that armor strip, which was kind of annoying. Even though you still want to do the same thing nowadays, it's just nice to have an armor strip without having to rely on that second ability. With this ability, you also have a 50% chance of making an enemy drop a health orb whenever they die. Before, you had to kill the enemy with this ability. Now, as long as you hit them with this ability before an enemy dies, regardless of how you kill them, they're still going to have that 50% chance to drop a health orb, which is really nice. They did remove the blinding effect this ability had because they felt that it really wasn't thematic to his abilities. I don't really think taking away blind is going to be the worst thing. Yeah, again, quite a lot of changes, and I'm sure a lot of people know this already because the rework's been out for a little bit. Overall, the changes they made to Oberon after the rework have just been literally what he needed for a very long time. With all that being said, let's go ahead and talk about my loadout that I got. I'm gonna go ahead and start by saying I do not have a helmet ability. This is purely just the base kit, and I do have 5 Talforged Archon shards on him. The red ones give me ability strength, and the yellow ones give me extra effectiveness on energy orbs. As far as the mod setup in the arcanes go, this is what I'm rocking with. I do have just 95% duration. That's because I got fleeting expertise on. The efficiency I get with this mod is definitely nice, and it cancels out the, lack of efficiency I get from Blind Rage. I could use Transient Fortitude, but I don't like lowering the ability duration, and it's not like I need the most ability strength on Oberon with the way I play. I also got Prime Continuity on here because without Prime Continuity, if I just had it like this, with the minus 60% ability duration, it would be 40%, and that is not gonna fly. You may notice that I do have Vigilante Vigor on here. I'm gonna be honest, you could probably get away with a different mod, but I was like, you know what, I would like some extra shield recovery for whenever I finally, take some damage. I feel like getting my shields back slightly faster is not gonna hurt me at the end of the day, and it's just gonna help me stay alive even more. Moving on, I got the Smite Augment mod, Smite Infusion, and after my mod setup, it gives me that 213% damage buff, and because I got Mole Augmented, that amount can actually go up because Mole Augmented gives me more ability strength. But yeah, that's it as far as the Oberon specific mod setup. So with this build, I ended up going through a Netracell solo. Once you actually get to endgame, going through Netracell solo and all these other activities are not difficult at all if you have the right build. Even if your setup's right, if you're not playing right, you're still gonna die. But with Oberon, man, it's difficult, especially for a mission type like a Netracell where I literally have to, stand around a certain area and kill enemies. All I did was put down my Hollowed Ground, and I just ran around using Reckoning to armor strip, and then I tried to use my weapons as much as possible and Smite as much as possible because Smite got that single target damage, and yeah, it's quite nice. I was doing high hundreds of thousands. I want to say around the 900,000 mark. There are some times I ended up hitting over 1 million damage by just using the first ability. I hit 1.9 million a few times. I want to say I even hit 2 million one time. And I'm not trying to, do as much damage with these abilities as possible. This is just a base kit build that's going to get me through what I need in the game. But to see that damage with this build when I'm literally not even going for it is quite nice. Doing millions of damage with your abilities is always satisfying. And like I mentioned earlier, activating Oberon's passive is not difficult at all as long as you keep using Reckoning. I feel like that's mainly the way you want to play now. You just spam the fuck out of Reckoning and try to kill every enemy you can that you hit with that ability, so you got a chance of making those health orbs. Then you can easily pick them up and you're immune. You can just walk around with no fear because even when, that immunity goes away, you still have your third ability in Renewal, which is going to constantly heal you. You don't even need to have Renewal constantly active if you're immune, you know what I mean? But if you know you're going to lose that immunity quite often, having it active all the time isn't even a bad thing, especially if you can get energy back consistently. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much going to be it for this video. Let me know what you guys think of the Oberon rework down in the comments. Like I said earlier, it's just way more rewarding and way more fun to play Oberon nowadays after the rework. And it's just so satisfying to armor strip with Reckoning, then follow up with Smite for a kill, and, you know, having that kill do a lot of damage is also pretty nice as well. I always thought Oberon was a fun frame, and now he's an even more fun frame. So, W rework overall. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help, and I do appreciate all the support. Before this video ends, real quick, just wanted to say thank you guys so much for all the support on the channel. And hey guys, that's going to be it for me. Keep your head up and stay positive. That being said, thanks for watching.